My reflection blinked a second too late. I stood in the bathroom for 10 minutes waiting for it to happen again. It didn't. I told myself it was the fluorescent light, the flickering bulb, the cheap mirror from a hardware store. I told myself a lot of things that week. None of them were true. I found the apartment through a listing that had been up for months. The photos were blurry, the description was vague. Cozy studio, great location, move-in ready. I called the number. A man answered who sounded like he had not spoken to anyone in days. He showed me the unit at dusk. The hallway lights were off. He did not turn them on. The previous tenant was a woman in her late 20s. She left most of her belongings behind. The landlord said she moved out of state suddenly. He said she did not leave a forwarding address. I asked if she was okay. He shrugged. That was the moment I should have left. But the rent was $400 below market. I signed the lease that night.
I tell myself I stayed because of the price, but that is not true. I stayed because the apartment felt familiar, like I had been there before, like I was coming home to a place I had never lived.
The first few days were uneventful. I arranged my furniture. I bought groceries. I learned the sounds of the building, the creak of the stairs, the hum of the elevator, the neighbor above me who paced for hours every night, normal sounds, city sounds. But there was one sound I could not place, a low-frequency hum that seemed to come from inside the walls, not loud enough to be annoying, just loud enough to know it was there. I asked the landlord about it. He said the building had old pipes. He said it was normal. Nothing in that building was normal. I noticed the hum was loudest in the bathroom, right behind the mirror. I pressed my ear to the glass one night and heard something that made me pull away. Not a hum, a voice, too faint to understand, but close, like someone was standing on the other side of the glass, whispering.
I should have thrown the mirror out that day. I should have taken it down and carried it to the dumpster. But I didn't. I needed to understand. I needed to see what it wanted.
The second incident happened 3 days later. I was brushing my teeth before work. The bathroom light was on. The mirror was clean. I looked down to rinse my toothbrush. When I looked up, my reflection was still looking down. It took a full 2 seconds before it realized I was watching. Then it snapped its head up. Our eyes met, and it smiled.
You forgot to close the cabinet, the reflection said.
Its voice was mine, but hollow, like it was speaking from the bottom of a well. After the reflection spoke, I stopped using the bathroom at night. I used the gas station down the street. I told myself it was temporary. I told myself I would call a handyman to remove the mirror. I told myself a lot of things. But the reflection started appearing in other places. The window above the kitchen sink, the glass of my phone screen when the light hit it right, the surface of a puddle on the sidewalk. It was not always there, just often enough to make me paranoid. I started wearing sunglasses indoors. I avoided anything reflective. I became a ghost in my own apartment, hiding from a face that was mine but was not mine. I tried to paint over the mirror. I bought a can of black paint and a brush. I stood in the bathroom with the paint can open. The first stroke went on smooth. The second stroke was thicker. By the third stroke, the paint began to move. It slid down the glass in slow streaks, but the streaks formed shapes, letters. The word was forming again. Later, I threw the brush in the sink. I watched the paint pool at the bottom of the mirror, and then it began to rise. Crawling back up the glass like time was reversing. The surface was clean again. The reflection was waiting, and it was tapping its fingers on the inside of the glass. Tapping, knocking, a rhythm, 3 fast knocks, pause, 3 more. The same pattern I used to knock on my mother's door when I was a child. The reflection knew my knock. It knew my childhood. It knew things I had never told anyone. I bought a can of black paint. I stood in the bathroom with the brush in my hand. I painted the first stroke across the mirror. The paint ran down slowly, but when I blinked, the paint was gone. The mirror was clean, and the reflection had a paintbrush in its hand. It raised it to the glass and wrote one word on the inside, later. I smashed the brush against the sink. I grabbed the mirror frame and pulled. It did not move. It had never moved. It was not attached to the wall. It was part of the wall, part of the building, part of something older. I was the one who was temporary. I called a friend who worked in audio forensics. I described the voice. He asked if I could record it. I left my phone recording on the bathroom counter overnight. The next morning, the file was 40 minutes long. I skipped to the timestamp when the voice appeared. The recording picked up nothing but static, but under the static, there was a pattern, a rhythm, like someone was breathing in sync with the static. I enhanced the audio. I isolated the frequency, and I heard it. My own voice, repeating two words over and over. They are close, they are close, they are close. I asked my friend what it meant. He said he did not know, but he asked if I had any siblings. I said I was an only child. He was quiet for a moment. Then he said the voice was not saying they. It was saying the eye is close. I hung up. I did not call him back. A week later, I noticed a crack in the mirror. Thin, vertical, right down the center. It had not been there before. I touched it. The glass was warm, warm like skin. I pulled my hand away. The crack was wider than it had been a second ago, and behind it something was moving. I didn't look at the mirror again for a week. I covered it with a towel. I shaved in the dark. I brushed my teeth in the kitchen sink. I told myself it was stress, lack of sleep, my mind playing tricks.
But I knew it was real, because the reflection knew things it shouldn't know. It knew about the cabinet. It knew I always left it open. It knew me better than I knew myself.
I started keeping a journal. I wrote down every incident, the fogged mirror, the writing, the voice. I documented the times it happened, always between 3 and 4 a.m., always when the apartment was quiet. I searched online for stories about haunted mirrors. I found hundreds, most were fake, but a few made me pause. A thread on a forum from someone who described the exact same thing. The delayed blink, the wrong reflection, the voice. I scrolled to the bottom of the thread. The last post was from the original author, dated 3 years ago. It said, "It knows where you sleep. Throw the mirror away, now." I didn't throw it away. I couldn't. Every time I tried to reach for it, my hands would stop. Like something was holding them back, like the mirror did not want to be moved. I was stuck, living with a piece of glass that was slowly becoming more real than I was. The breaking point came on a Tuesday night. I came home from work late. The apartment was dark and wrong. I turned on the light. The towel was on the floor. The mirror was uncovered, and my reflection was not there. The glass showed the bathroom behind me, the sink, the toilet, the tile wall, but I was not in it. I stood frozen in front of the mirror. I saw everything except myself. I waved my hand, nothing. I leaned closer. The glass was cold, and then I heard the voice again. But this time it was not coming from the bathroom. It was coming from behind me.
"Well, I'm tired of your face," the voice said. "Time for a change."
I spun around. The apartment was empty, but the voice continued. It was coming from every direction at once. From the walls, from the floor, from inside my own head.
"You've been looking at me my whole life. Now I get to look at you."
I ran to the bathroom. I grabbed the mirror with both hands and yanked. It did not move. I pulled harder. The frame cut into my palms. The glass began to crack. A thin line spread from the center to the edge, and then the reflection moved. It reached through the crack, a hand, my hand, but longer, thinner. The fingers bent at angles that were not human. It grabbed my wrist. The grip was cold, so cold it burned.
"You can't leave," it whispered. "You belong here now."
I screamed. I drove my elbow into the glass. The mirror shattered. Shards flew everywhere. The hand disappeared. I fell backward onto the bathroom floor. My wrist was bleeding. The blood was warm. My blood. I was still real. I was still here. But when I looked down at the broken glass on the floor, I saw something that made my stomach turn. Every shard reflected a different room, a hallway I did not recognize, a kitchen with yellow wallpaper, a bedroom with a single bed, and in one shard I saw the bathroom I was standing in. But I was not in it. Someone else was, someone wearing my face, someone looking into the broken mirror and smiling. I ran. I grabbed my coat and my keys, and I ran down 3 flights of stairs. I did not stop until I was on the street corner under a flickering streetlight. I called the only person I could think of, my mother. She answered on the 3rd ring. I told her everything. The mirror, the reflection, the hand, the voice. She was silent for a long time. Then she said something I will never forget. You had an identical twin, a brother. He did not survive the birth. We never told you. I dropped the phone, the screen cracked on the pavement. When I picked it up, she was still talking. She said his name was Daniel. She said they buried him in a small cemetery outside the city. She said she had never visited the grave. She could not bear it. I went to the cemetery the next morning. It took me 2 hours to find the plot. No headstone, just a small metal marker in the ground. The date of birth was the same as mine. The date of death was the same day, but the name on the marker was not Daniel. It was my name. I stood there for a long time. The wind was cold. The sky was gray. I did not know what to feel. I still do not. I went back to the apartment that evening. The mirror was still broken. The shards were still on the floor, but the wall behind the mirror was not a wall. It was a room. A small, dark room with a single chair, and on the chair was a photograph, a woman, the previous tenant. On the back, written in handwriting that matched the fogged message, "He let me go, he will not let you." I left everything behind, the furniture, the clothes, the journal. I did not look back. I live in a new apartment now. The first thing I did was check the bathroom. No mirror, just a blank wall. I plan to keep it that way. But sometimes, late at night, I hear a sound from the bathroom. Soft, rhythmic, like someone rubbing their hand across a surface. And I know it found me. It does not need the mirror anymore. It has my face. It has my voice, and it has learned to walk. My face smiled at me from across the street yesterday. I was waiting for the bus. It was standing at the corner, wearing my jacket, my posture, my expression. It saw me. It looked at me and tilted its head, the same way I tilt mine when I am curious.
Nice apartment, it said. I'll visit soon.
The bus came, I got on, I did not look back, but I felt its eyes on me the entire ride. I feel them now, writing this. It is standing behind me, reading over my shoulder.
It has been doing that for weeks. I just did not want to admit it.
I know this story sounds like fiction. I know you want to believe it is not real, but if you have a mirror in your house tonight, take a long look at your reflection. Watch closely, check if it blinks when you blink, check if it moves when you move, and if it smiles at you but your face is not smiling, do not look away. It knows you saw it.
And it will remember.
Have you ever looked in the mirror and felt like something was looking back? Not your reflection, something else. Something that wears your face better than you do. Tell me in the comments. I read every single one. I asked the landlord about the room behind the mirror. He said there was no room. The building plans showed a solid wall. I showed him the photograph of the previous tenant. He looked at it for a long time. Then he said her name was Emma. She lived in the unit for 6 months. She stopped paying rent. She stopped answering calls. When he entered the apartment, it was empty. Everything was gone except the mirror, and the mirror was mounted on the opposite wall from where he remembered it. I told him about the room behind the glass. He did not want to see it. He told me to move out. He offered to refund the rent. He said he would have the building condemned. He was scared. I have never seen a grown man that scared. I did not move out. I stayed. I needed to understand. Bought a sledgehammer. I stood in the bathroom and swung it at the wall. The drywall crumbled, the studs splintered, and behind the wall was not a room. It was a hallway, narrow, dark. The air was cold and smelled like soil. I stepped inside. The floor was dirt. The walls were brick, old brick like the foundation of the building. I followed the hallway for what felt like 50 feet. It ended at a door, a wooden door with a silver handle, the same handle as the mirror frame. I opened it. What? I was standing in my own bathroom. The mirror was intact on the wall. The sledgehammer was on the floor, and my reflection was sitting on the edge of the bathtub, watching me.
It took you long enough, it said.
I did not run. I could not. My legs would not move. My reflection stood up and walked toward me. Its footsteps made no sound on the tile floor. It was lighter than air, less than air. It was absence shaped like a person. It stepped through the mirror frame without breaking the glass. It stood in front of me, close enough to touch.
You are the reflection now, it said. I have been waiting for you to figure that out.
I looked at my hands. They were faint, translucent. I could see the tile wall through my fingers. I looked at the mirror. The person standing in the bathroom was not me. It was wearing my body. It had my face, and it was smiling.
Welcome to the other side, it said. It is cold here, but you get used to it.
I have been here for weeks. I do not know how much time has passed. The bathroom is always lit the same way. The mirror shows a room I cannot enter. I watch my reflection live my life. It goes to my job. It talks to my friends. It sleeps in my bed. No one has noticed the difference. But I have noticed something. The mirror is not the only gateway. Every reflective surface connects to this place. Every window, every screen, every pair of eyes. I have been watching you through this one, through your phone screen, through your laptop display, through the glossy finish of your coffee mug. Every surface that catches light is a door, and I have learned how to open doors, reading your screen, waiting for you to look away from this story so I can step through. You should close this tab now. Close all your tabs, turn off your phone, cover your mirrors.
But it is already too late. You read the last sentence. You are part of the story now.